I did. Okay, so I did a little write up on Facey Space a few years back or a year back. I don't know, on CyberSound. It wasn't really that much of a write up. It was really just that I had found while searching on eBay. I'd found, where was it? I found this. I found this like this keyboard. It was like an entire suite, like CyberSound Studio 3.0. It's like a little keyboard that you hook up to your MIDI keyboard. You hook up to your PC, and you get like
I remember this.
Yeah, and I was thinking, okay, I was like, wow, I was blown away because at that point I didn't realize that they had actually released it as like a home product that people could use, but it piqued my interest and it caused me to want to, I guess, further investigate what CyberSound actually was. And so, are you familiar? Have you ever messed around with the Saturn's, sound menu, just like the CD player? You know how it's got like that built-in DAC, and it's got that ability to raise and lower pitch and mess around with the audio and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it's got a lot of power under the hood, and it's got the ability to, it's got the ability to manipulate sounds and stuff like that. But it's also, this custom sound processor, the Yamaha chip, is directly connected to a paltry 512 kilobytes of memory, of RAM. In fact, that's the one, that was kind of like the one criticism against the sound system, is that it would have been better if that was like a full megabyte. Anyway, 512 kilobytes of dedicated audio RAM. And the whole audio system is controlled by that Motorola 68,000, yeah. Like the Genesis, leftover Genesis chips, Mm-hmm. And essentially, in that audio RAM, you could store, raw wave samples, raw audio samples. You could also store software programs like QSound, and like Capcom would use QSound to do like the fake surround, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And they'd put it in the DTS newsletters to the developers like early on, like QSound, use QSound, license it for your game, to get like that fake surround sound thing going on. Kenji Eno did his own kind of like fake surround sound. It wasn't QSound, but he did his own thing with Warp, with Enemy Zero, for Enemy Zero. But and I think he used it as well in the Kaze, what was it? The Real Sound, Kaze no Regret. Anyway, Envision also was a company in the mid-90s, well, late 80s, mid-90s, that they had their own package, their own thing called CyberSound. And they licensed it early. They licensed it out early to Sega as an instrument library. That's essentially what it was. It was like a MIDI instrument library / sound driver for playback of these sounds. And they actually licensed it early on as an option for it was basically known as the Sega Sound Library. Before, I would say, like 1996 is when they actually started using the CyberSound name and branding to kind of like advertise it as a feature on the games. It was always there. And so if you go to the Sega Retro link that I put at the bottom here, I put some links, where are they? There they are. I put more information. There are some links on it, some articles you can read up on. It turns out that a lot of early on games still use the same thing. They still use the same thing. It just wasn't called CyberSound. It was just called the Sega Sound Library. And then they kind of rebranded it. But it was always CyberSound GM was the package, basically. And there are several games, such as Nights into Dreams and Dragon Force, and just numerous other games, Sakura Wars, that use this system, that use these virtual instruments in their games. And of course, Nights is one of the most high-profile games where you can actually interact with it to some degree in the Melody Box on Christmas nights. And you can kind of see how cool. Yeah, like if you piss the Nighttopians off, then the music changes. If you make them happy or you do something else, the music gets neutral or it gets happy, and it kind of changes per mare, like, so within an entire level there's like 4 mares, and it can change per mare. So you just have like this unique soundtrack that is, it may not be discovered until much later by somebody else, by doing the same thing that you did. But anyway, that's CyberSound in a nutshell. You can actually download it and mess around with it on PC or on Mac if you got like a virtual machine or you got an old PC that can run it. There's a DMG here for Mac, and then there's just an EXE for or zip file with a bunch of stuff that you can check out. And if you have a little MIDI keyboard at home, you don't need this one that came with it. You can download the manual here, and you just use your own MIDI keyboard and mess around with CyberSound on your keyboard.
I should probably check out my see if I can hook up my keyboard to it. Yeah,
you probably could. I mean, if it's a general MIDI controller, I'm sure you can. Yeah, we got the original CyberSound website through the Wayback Machine for you guys to peruse. A couple of articles, interesting stuff. Yeah, maybe one day I'll do an article on QSound. That'll be interesting. There's a lot more information, to be honest with you, out there about QSound, because it was incredibly high profile, popular, used in arcades, used on consoles, licensed to a lot of different companies. Where CyberSound flew a little bit more under the radar, but I still find it fascinating because I'm a huge Knights fan. And I love the Saturn. I love the Saturn sound chip. Well, Peter and I, we're both big Knights fans, and I'm not gonna.
Bunch of Knight nerds.
I no regrets, no defense. I'm a Knights fan, through and through.
Fair enough.